The Center for Dryland Agriculture, Bayero University, Kano, one of the centers of excellence in Nigeria, has performed wonderfully in its 10 years on the review. Its outstanding researches, trainings and outreaches have made it stand tall in the sub-Saharan Africa. The documentary awards winner, Mustafa Muhammad, cuts across the 10-year journey of the center.
The Center for Dryland Agriculture in Bayero University, Kano, established in 2012, was aimed to address some of the needs and challenges of dryland of West and Central Africa through training, research and outreach. It was started as a regional center and later metamorphosed to an Africa Center of Excellence. The mission of the center is to improve livelihood, resilience and sustainable use of natural resources in African drylands through training and demand-driven research.
The center was established in early 2012 as a direct response to the needs of the community. Bayero University decided around 2011 that it should start training in a way that addresses the needs of the society. Instead of the normal way we do degrees in agriculture for the sake of research, the university thought we should focus on actual problems that affect the people around Kano area, but looking at similar communities across the African dryland areas.
The CDA conducts different sorts of trainings.
Our trainings are divided into segments. We have academic trainings, in which we run currently 9 programs, 5 MScs and 4 PhDs. And these are in 5 thematic areas. We have natural resource management and climate change. We have crops and cropping system. We have range and livestock management. We have natural resource economics and livelihoods. And then we have agricultural technology. This is our graduate or academic programs training. Apart from the academic trainings, we have short-term or short courses training, in which we train in various aspects. We train our staff, short courses, we train students, we train partners, we train other stakeholders and partners of CDA.
Apart from the main trainings, it also conducts trainings for its international, regional and national partners. This includes but not limited to ICRISAT, IITA, NADA and other agricultural development programs within the West and Central Africa.
Part of the short courses, we don't limit our training only to Nigeria. We go to other countries like Niger to train people there. Not the student training, I mean train other people. We train extension agents in Niger, for instance. We train farmers, women group, youth, those who are interested.
The research is another component that established the CDA. The center has been producing researches that aim at addressing some of the needs and challenges of dryland of West and Central Africa.
Largely, research activities of the center are of 3 types. The first is the one that concerns student training. Most students that are coming for postgraduate training, of course, would have to undergo a 1-year research for MSc and about 2 years for PhD. The second one is collaborative researches with partners. Currently, CDA has about 13 ongoing collaborative researches with different partners, international partners across the globe. Then there is also the group researches. We have 4 research groups, the bioresources and biotechnology research groups, the crops and crop improvement research group, the livestock improvement research group, and then the environment and livelihood research group.
When you have researchers available, you need to reach out. That's what the CDA does at the Department of Outreach and Publications. Of course, the outreach is another integral part of the tripod that built the CDA.
Under the outreach activities of the center, publications, as I said, is also part of the outreach activities. But mainly, we are concerned with the partnerships and collaboration the center has with other people. We are concerned with what we do with some of the farming communities in Kano and other states of Nigeria. And at the same time, we are concerned with the outreach activity of students, because under the World Bank project, it's mandatory for all our postgraduate students to do internship.
For the social corporate responsibility, the CDA has been helping the farming communities around its radius.
The idea is to concentrate on the farming population, actually, because they are the ones that need these improved technologies and improved agricultural practices.
The center became the regional center of excellence due to its performances and zeal to sustain agricultural production systems for improved food security and livelihoods in dryland areas. It had gotten finance from MacArthur Foundation to the tune of $800,000 after the rigorous competition among the participating countries. Later on, it had won the World Bank's Africa Centers of Excellence grant of nearly $7 million, and after the mid-term review, the center was rated excellent and got an additional $1 million.
If you look at the first lifespan of the CDA, it was because of that performance that the World Bank find it necessary to request CDA to apply when we come to the second round of another program in CDA. And incidentally, we won that, and that is where you find where CDA where it is today.
We are happy to say that the initial assessment that came out, our center is top among the Nigerian centers. There are 17 centers now in Nigeria, and we scored the highest ranking in terms of achieving the project deliverables.
The CDA was successful to get another grant of $5 million from the World Bank after the over 100 proposals were reviewed from participating countries in a very huge competition.
We are on queue. By the time the process is concluded by March, we will possibly get additional funding on top of the $5 million grant we got right now.
It has befitting and well-equipped laboratories with sophisticated equipment, and that could hardly be found elsewhere in Nigeria, making it more attractive for foreign and local students. Our team have gone around to some of the laboratories at the Center for Dryland Agriculture, one of the 17 centers for excellence in Nigeria. The laboratories include plant tissue culture, molecular laboratory, geographic information system, GIS, among others. We have started with the molecular laboratory. Dr. Sulaiman Rupai Babura has taken us round.
One of the most cardinal and important activities here is we deal with the DNA extraction, RNA extraction from plant sample, animal sample, sometimes microorganisms like bacteria and possibly sometimes viruses.
Another spectacular laboratory is a plant tissue culture laboratory, which was commissioned on 17 March 2017 by Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid, the Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission. It is an amazing laboratory that helps researchers multiply seeds in large number and regenerate the plants that are on the verge of extinction.
This laboratory is one of its kind in northern Nigeria, and it has about 4 parts. The first part that is behind me is called a preparation station or preparation room, where when we brought most of the plant material, that is where we kept it and prepare it. And here where we are, we call it a workbench room, where we perform most of the activities concerning the tissue culture. And the next room behind you is called a chemical room. Chemical room is a room where we kept all the chemicals that we provide, an atmosphere medium where we grow the plant. And by the side is what we call a growth chamber, where we kept the plant under control condition to continue growing inside the bottles.
We are lucky to have met one of the PhD students working at the plant tissue culture. She's doing her research on the endangered species and how to multiply such indigenous trees that are on the verge of extinction.
My research is I'm doing a micropropagation of endangered indigenous tree species. And their seeds are actually difficult to germinate. So since we have tissue culture and we have a laboratory where we can come to the lab and actually germinate these seeds and grow these plants, I saw it as a wonderful opportunity. Let's bring these seeds to the laboratory. Let's break the barrier that they have for germinating, and then we can now produce them.
The Geographic Information System Laboratory is another fantastic laboratory at the center that almost every researcher needs. Associate Professor Murtala Mohammed Badmasi heads the GIS laboratory.
We basically look at challenges in the dryland environment and understanding the diversity and differentials, especially around the key critical constraint in the dryland: water availability, nutrient differentials, and coming to the human dimensionality, looking at the population distribution as a gradient of availability of water and food as the key driver that motivates human existence, key to understanding the needed kind of analytics required to bring out those diversity. And so that comes to the issue of GIS.
The Center for Dryland Agriculture has a massive well-equipped nursery and greenhouses. All the laboratories are interrelated in their function, mission, and projection. For example, a molecular laboratory can be used to fast-track the development of new crop varieties, which could be mass-propagated at plant tissue culture.
For example, the interrelationship between these laboratories at the molecular laboratory, we identify traits of interest in plants that will improve the performance of that plant. If there is need, we take that plant and then mass produce it in the tissue culture laboratory.
The center had helped many students, local or foreign, undergo their researches. But what are the researchers that are more distinguished at the center at the moment?
Let me give you one classical example. One of our PhD students has just identified sex in date palm. You may be aware that date palm, the common dabino, has specific male and female plants. We all know that some of the date palms, they don't produce the fruits we eat, while some produce. So those that produce the fruits are female plants, whereas those that don't produce, automatically they are males. So people are now interested in growing large acreage of date palm. Unfortunately, they have the investment, they grow the date palm, and they realize only later, maybe 5 to 7 years, for instance, that the plants are mainly males, so they don't produce. But now at the Center for Dryland Agriculture, we are able to identify sex of the date palm through molecular activity. So this females identified plant will now be grown, and part of that plant will be taken and mass produced using tissue culture. So that's one example of the relationship of our laboratories.
Moreover, another milestone of the Center for Dryland Agriculture is that it was selected for the Regional Scholarship Innovation Fund. It is an ambitious project to train 10,000 PhD African students in 10 years. This was the effort made by some African governments to motivate researchers to address the problem of Africa by Africans. The center has been providing all what the students need to have a good atmosphere for learning. In an interview, some foreign and local students told us reason why they so much love the CDA, the Center of Excellence at Bayero University, Kano.
It's good place, it has good people, good-hearted people. We are treated here like a family.
Oh, CDA is an interesting area for me because when I compare CDA and my experience for the last times, there is, a better facilities to do a research, even to achieve my PhD workers.
My study, it will help the society in terms of how they are going to manage their own resources.
I want to improve the productivity and the efficiency of sorghum and maize. This is a good challenge for all Mali and all countries in Africa.
The animals are okay as you've seen them now, but after 2 months from now they will suffer. Even dry one is not available. So if you use the abundance of dry grasses now with agri-pie products into form of wafer like this one to be stored using binder, this contains the mineral requirement, protein requirement and energy requirements. All requirements for the animals are here.
CDA has brought an avenue to conserve our indigenous tree species, and we're very much grateful to CDA, and we hope that CDA will support more work in such area.
We give them 100% support because they are making us proud, and we are proud with their performances. If you compare them with other centers of excellence in Nigeria and West Africa, our Center of Excellence, the CDA, excel.
Apart from the impact of the Center for Dryland Agriculture has on teaching, research and outreach, it also organizes workshops, trainings to its own partners. It could be recalled that even at the end of the last year, 2021, the CDA had organized a workshop for the Federal Ministry of Agriculture on the Northwest Regional Validation Exercises of the Draft National Agricultural Technology and Innovation Policy 2022 to 2025. Moreover, the center also organizes an international conference on dryland agriculture on 2 years interval, where researchers from all across Africa converge to discuss the way forward on some of the challenges of the dryland areas. It is no doubt that the Center for Dryland Agriculture, Bayero University, Kano, is a leading center of the excellence of excellence for excellence.